Hello and welcome to Mickeyology, where we take Disney movies a little too seriously. I'm Austin Rathall, and today we're examining the Toy Story series. Now, the first Toy Story film is a very special and personal movie for me because seeing it was a very formative experience in my life. I remember it was one of the first movies that I ever saw in a theater, and it totally captivated me. So much so that even though I was only about 4 years old at the time, I still remember the day that my dad came home and surprised me with a brand new VHS copy of the movie. Obviously, I watched the sequels as they came out as well, and Toy Story 3 was one of the last movies that I watched in theaters before leaving for college. And just this past week, we showed the Toy Story movies to our little one, and so now I'm seeing my child become obsessed with Woody and Buzz. So when and where do these classic stories take place? Well, the settings of the films are rather vague, and that vagueness actually makes them feel universal. Watching them, we get the sense that they take place somewhere in the United States around the present day, but the world and the story is so instantly familiar and immersive that the details really don't matter. Besides, like many Disney movies, Toy Story wasn't trying to be a documentary. As director John Lasseter said,
and it's a caricatured world. We never, ever wanted the audience to look up on the screen and think we were trying to reproduce reality. Produce something that the audience from every single frame knows this doesn't exist, and then make it look as real as possible.
So wherever Toy Story takes place, the version of it we see on screen will be a fantasy version, rather than an exact duplicate of the real location. However, this wouldn't be Mickeyology unless we dissected and overanalyzed each of these films to within an inch of their lives. So, let's examine the clues and see if we can tell exactly when and where the Toy Story series takes place. It has now been decades since the original Toy Story was released back in November 1995, and since then Pixar has released numerous spin-offs and tie-ins and books and many other materials that offer clues to when and where the films take place, and that includes the recent spin-off movie Lightyear, which opens with these words. That tells us the original Toy Story takes place in 1995. The same year in which the movie was released. Now, thanks to the Pixar website, we can also know how old Andy was in the original Toy Story. The official Toy Story webpage says Andy is 6 years old in that film. Now, I don't know about you, but the 6-year-olds that I have met do not look as old as Andy does in that movie. So it looks like there may be a little bit of room for doubt as far as what the website says, but for now, let's go with it. That gives us a starting point. We know that Toy Story takes place in 1995. But where does it take place? Well, the official Pixar website might have an answer to that question too. The Pixar website contains a webpage dedicated to the Toy Story Toons short films, and their description of the Hawaiian Vacation short says, Woody and Buzz lead a group of toys in giving Ken and Barbie the Hawaiian vacation of their dreams, but it has to be in a girl's bedroom in the Midwest in the middle of winter because Ken badly miscalculated the travel arrangements. Since Bonnie was Andy's neighbor in Toy Story 3, we can assume that both she and Andy live somewhere in the Midwest. And the book The Art of Toy Story 3 seems to confirm this because in that book there's a quote from production designer Ralph Eggleston, and he said, Andy's room was kind of everyone's fantasy childhood. We've gotten better at textures and details, but if we were successful in one area in particular, it was capturing the essence of that Midwestern, all-American, second-hand feeling in the colors and textures and basic shapes of the furniture. So we've now got the region and the year, but our work isn't done yet, because the Midwest is a very large area, and even if the first film takes place in 95, we still don't know about the sequels. So let's look for some more clues within the films themselves. So far, we know the series begins in 1995 and that all the films take place in roughly the same area, the Tri-County area, to be precise. But where is that? Well, the first film concludes at Christmas time and we see a blanket of snow over Andy's new house. So that tells us the films probably take place somewhere with snowy winters. What about the years in which the sequels take place? Well, it turns out that there are several calendars visible in the sequels. At the beginning of Toy Story 2, we see a calendar over Buzz and Rex's shoulders that says it is August, and August 1st falls on a Monday. We see another calendar in Al's office later on in the film that has the same dates. If the first Toy Story takes place in 95, then we need to find the next year in which August 1st was a Monday. But that actually did not happen until 2005. 10 years after the year that the first film supposedly takes place, and several years after Toy Story 2 was released. If Toy Story 1 takes place in 95 and Andy is 6, then that would make him 16 in Toy Story 2, but we can clearly see that he's still a prepubescent kid and going to cowboy camp. Now, there was a Monday, August 1st in 1994, the year before the first Toy Story was released, so maybe the first two movies take place earlier than we thought, but that would contradict the opening scrawl from Lightyear. It would also contradict a line that Tour Guide Barbie says in Toy Story 2, which implies that Toy Story 2 takes place sometime after 1995.
And this is the Buzz Lightyear aisle. Back in 1995, short-sighted retailers did not order enough dolls to meet demand.
It looks like the calendars, at least the ones from the second movie, aren't going to help us solve the puzzle, so we need to find some more evidence. While Toy Story is a fantastical story, it takes place in a mundane world in which normal people drive their normal cars to their normal jobs. And, fortunately for us, those normal cars have a very important clue. They have license plates. So if we can spot a registration sticker on a license plate in one of these movies, that should give us a rough idea of the year in which the movie takes place. In the first movie, Andy's mom drives a van with a 1995 registration sticker, and several other vehicles carry stickers with an identical date. So that seems to confirm that the first movie does indeed take place in 1995. In Toy Story 2, we see that Al's car has a 1999 registration sticker. In Toy Story 3, Andy's mom drives a van that has a 2010 registration sticker. So Toy Story 1 takes place in 95 when Andy is 6, Toy Story 2 takes place in 99 when he is 9 or 10, and Toy Story 3 takes place in 2010, which would make Andy 21. So, did he take a few gap years before finally going off to college? That is possible, but unlikely, because in The Art of Toy Story 3, they say that Andy is supposed to be 17 in the movie, and that was also confirmed in several news articles that came out in conjunction with the release of the third film. So, if the first film does take place in 95 and Andy is 6 in that movie, then that would mean that the third film takes place around 2006. The most likely conclusion that we can draw from this is that all of those registration stickers are simply Easter eggs that the filmmakers threw in to commemorate the release year of each of these films. Also, the license plates that the stickers are attached to are very strange, because unlike real US plates, not a single one of these plates has the name of the state where it was issued. They simply say Tri-County, as in the Tri-County area. Speaking of the Tri-County area, that name is everywhere in these movies. It starts with a throwaway line in a Buzz Lightyear commercial in the first film.
Available at all Al's Toy Bound outlets in the Tri-County area.
But every sequel afterwards hammers home the fact that these movies take place in the Tri-County area. So where is this mysterious Tri-County area? Well, there are several real Tri-County areas, including one in South Carolina, one in Pennsylvania, and one in California. So if we saw a map of this Tri-County area in one of the movies, then we could determine if it matches up with any of the real Tri-County areas. And lucky for us, the movies do give us just that. In the gas station scene in the first Toy Story, we get our first glimpse of the Pizza Planet truck, but we also hear the driver asking for directions.
Hey, gas, dude! You're talking to me.
Pizza Planet. Andy!
Cutting Boulevard. Yeah, which way?
It's not much to go on, but it does give us a street name, Cutting Boulevard. And that street name pops up again in Toy Story 2, when Buzz locates the kidnapped Woody using a map in an Al's Toy Barn commercial.
Wait, stop!
I look for the giant chicken!
Now, Etch! That's where I need to go.
According to that commercial, Al's Toy Barn is located at 1001 West Cutting Boulevard. Not only is that a real California address, but it's also the address of Pixar's original headquarters. However, Al's Toy Barn is not the only location in the movies with a known address. In Toy Story 3, we learn Andy's address.
He's my Bonnie, and he's leaving soon. I gotta get home.
Where's home?
Elm Street, 234 Elm.
That is a real California address, and it's located less than an hour from Cutting Boulevard. We also learned Bonnie's address.
1225 Sycamore.
There are 2 California addresses that match that one. Now it looks like the movies might take place in California, and when you start to investigate the California connections to the movies, the evidence starts to pile up. Not only does the region around Cutting Boulevard feature the same addresses as the ones mentioned in the movie, but it also has an international airport and is within relatively good driving distance of 2 Sunnyside daycares. Filmmakers also designed several of these sites in the Toy Story movies to resemble sites in Northern California. Designer Bill Cohn modeled the interior of Andy's house in the first movie off of his own San Francisco flat. Another Bay Area site, Mickey McGowan's Unknown Museum, inspired the look of Sid's room. Animators toured San Francisco International Airport's baggage facility to research for Toy Story 2. Another Pixar team visited nearby Alcatraz prison to research the prison setting for Toy Story 3, and visited a Northern California landfill to research for the climax of the film. So, what does all of this mean? Well, despite Pixar's website saying that the Toy Story films take place in the Midwest, the clues inside the films themselves seem to suggest a Northern California setting, somewhere around the Bay Area, a region, by the way, that is known as the Tri-Valley area. But what about Ralph Eggleston's statement about the film being Midwestern? Well, if you remember, Mr. Eggleston said specifically that Andy's room had a Midwestern feeling in its colors and furniture, not that his home was set in the Midwest. So what about that snow at the end of the first film? While snow is rare in the Tri-Valley area, it does get snow occasionally. Therefore, it's certainly possible that could be the same part of Northern California where Andy lives. After all, we only see snow for one brief period, one evening. Based on the film's calendars, maps, and other clues, I am placing the Toy Story series in the Tri-Valley area of California from the mid-90s to the mid-2000s. So there you have it. That is my analysis of when and where the Toy Story films take place. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of my conclusions and when and where you think the films take place. Please let me know which Disney movie you would also like me to analyze next. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.